Hey guys, Andrew McFarlane here. I was thinking about this, how as I've grown to be more mature and had more experience in life, I've started to have this sense of the future and witnessing things manifest in my life. I start to see the cycles in things, and so that's in a lot of ways allowed me to be more relaxed and more patient. I feel like when I was a lot younger, I used to be very impatient. When I wanted something, I wanted it now. It's like I didn't have any sense of understanding the nature of seasons and the nature of just nurturing things, whether it be relationships or businesses or whatever it is you're trying to create, whether it's cultivating health and you have some goals for your physical capacity, right? Whatever it is, you want to become more flexible, it takes time, usually. And so the reason I was saying this is because I started to think about how when we have, the longer we've been alive, the more reference we have to refer to the cycles that we've been through, right? And if you start to see that, oh, there's patterns, I can see my past because my past has created my present. And in the same way, I can see my future because my present is creating my future. So if I want to have any sense of who I'm going to be like, what kind of people I'm going to be surrounded by, where I'm going, I just have to look at what I'm doing on a daily basis. What kind of energy am I nurturing? Because, as someone said, you can really look at your life as a microcosm of, or your day as a microcosm of your life, right? There's a parable that I shared before that I want to share right now that relates to this, and it's to be mindful of your thoughts because your thoughts create your words. Be mindful of your words because your words create your actions. Be mindful of your actions because your actions create your habits. Be mindful of your habits because your habits create your character. And to be mindful of your character because your character creates your destiny. So if we really look at where we want to go, we have to just look at where we're going and realizing that the seed is already a tree. It just has to be watered. It just has to be put in the right environment. And it's just a matter of time because this is the law of life. This is the law of nature. That anything that you put your time and attention on must grow for better or for worse. So you have to really ask yourself, are the things that you're putting your time and attention on the things that you want to grow? Because it is a fact. It is a fact. It must move that way. That's the only way that energy moves. And so for me, I started to become more relaxed in that knowing and seeing that, yeah, everything goes through these cycles. And I can see when I'm in a specific stage in development in any area in my life. As I mentioned, whether it's physically or emotionally, spiritually, in relationship, in career, in business, all of these things. And because of that, I've become more relaxed and I've had more confidence in the witnessing of those things manifesting. I feel like a lot of times our desperation to make things happen comes from our lack of confidence and trust that they're actually happening. Because if you knew that something was going to happen and it was just a matter of time, then in a lot of ways you can just calm down and enjoy the journey, right? And it's this desperation to make things happen that we believe are not happening that creates this stress, this feeling of needing to over-effort in the creation process. And we can burn ourselves out, right? It's like when we get into this mentality of constantly sprinting, and I've had that, I would say that's something I've been working on for a while. I've had that as a tendency when I work in the past, and when I do a lot of things, because as someone said, how you do anything is how you do everything. I've had the tendency of being putting 110% effort forward with this desperation to get things done quickly, and then possibly even burning myself out. Where when you start to see the cycles of energy, you start to see what's manifesting, you start to realize, oh, okay, it's okay for me to pace myself, because life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Right? Because even if I run really fast now, I'm not really going to get there sooner. Why? Because I'm not really ripe. That the ripening process takes time. It's a law. When you look at nature, you see a tree and you see the fruit on the tree, and you can't pick a fruit before it's ripe. And you can't force really that fruit to ripen more quickly. And you can. There are things that you can do, right? Like apparently you could genetically modify something, right? There's a lot of things you can do. But guess what? That ripeness isn't the same. It's not the same. It has the qualities of being forced. It has the qualities of being premature, right? All the nutrients isn't inside of that food. And I've started to see all these correlations, these parallels, these connections between nature, the cycles of life, and our own lives, because we're not different than that. We are a part of nature. We are nature. And it's interesting, because when we hear these things sometimes, or when someone might say something like this, like, oh, we are nature, we can get into this idea of like, oh yeah, that sounds really good, but no, not really. Like, I'm driving my car around and I live in the city. And the truth is yes, that's true, but if you really, really get down to it, we are of this earth. Our bodies are being sustained by that which is of this earth, that which goes through these cycles and seasons, through the air, through the natural elements. And so that is the real world. Everything else is the mind of man. These buildings, these roads, these are all manifestations of the consciousness of things that live in time, right? In the human arrangement of sorts, right? Whereas our body is of the earth, our body is natural, our body is natural as any tree is. It comes from a different place. And so in the same way, you start to realize, oh yeah, there's laws that actually dictate everything. And the more we can understand, just like gravity, right? Like once you realize, okay, that is a law, right? You can now come into accordance with it and utilize it and do the dance with it, to be in harmony with it, but you can't deny it, right? You can't oppose it. Not that I'm aware of yet, right? Maybe there are people who can defy the laws of gravity and other laws, great, but first, you have to still acknowledge the existence of these things. And so in the same way, I've started to see, okay, there's laws and there's cycles to the creation process, to the development process, and just to energy as a whole. So I've started to see my own evolution, because even I feel that we can get this way internally and externally. Like the way that I was approaching many, many external things, like I mentioned, career, relationships, so on and so forth, with this feeling of wanting things to be so immediate, I've also even seen in myself, I've had that same kind of demand on my own spiritual evolution, on my own evolution as a human being and who I want to be. And as I've started to see, okay, that these are cycles, I'm starting to watch the patterns, I've seen who I'm becoming. And I'm okay with where I am. And I found myself becoming more rested in the process, as opposed to being so hard on myself. So I say all this so that you guys can find more forgiveness, find more ease, find more grace in knowing that it's happening. As long as you are aware and you're moving in the direction of your goal, internally and externally, know that it's happening, and you don't have to force it so much, right? Because if you really get perceptive, that force and that effort may be coming from the place inside of you that has the fear and insecurity that it actually isn't happening. That's what you're believing, that it isn't happening. Now, there's something else to be said about increasing your energy and becoming more energetically influential so that things do happen faster, but that's a natural byproduct. You also don't have to force that. That is a byproduct of who you become. So for me, it feels like sincerity is everything. Sincerity in your process, sincerity in your being, and the willingness to tap into that honesty and that realness and that reality inside of you, because everything will be in a manifestation of that. Everything will be a delineation of that. So even in myself, we start to learn, okay, these things don't really feel right. Why do I feel this effort? Why do I feel this force? I'm wanting to move into greater ease, greater grace, and relationship to life as a whole, in this flow of things that are being created inside and out. So hope you guys are having a beautiful moment. This is Andrew McFarlane sending you my love, and I will see you very soon.